Hi all, Dermot Crowley here from Adapt Training Solutions. Just going to do a very quick screencast on scheduling tasks. Now, in the workshop, one of the key things that we covered was the idea of using Microsoft Outlook as your centralized task management system and using it alongside your calendar. So that you can have a clear view of your meeting workload and your task workload in the one screen. Now, we work on the assumption that most people who come through our training have used the calendar and already have their meetings in the calendar, but quite often the task function is new to people. So we just want to quickly go through some of the key ways that you can schedule a task and the key uses for tasks. Now, the first thing I'd like to cover is scheduling a basic task. And you will often do this when you either think of something that you need to do, or you receive a piece of work via a meeting action or maybe a piece of paper. And that's what's generating the task. So we're going to enter in a task using the to-do bar on the right-hand side of our screen. Now, if you have a look just above the to-do bar, we've got a white line which says type a new task. Now, what I'm going to actually do is double-click in that space. And by double clicking there, it's going to open up a new task form, which is actually what I want because I want to be able to fill in all of the details that are pertinent to the task. The first thing that you need to think about is the task title, and we always encourage you to start the name of the task with an action word. So in this case, I need to call Paul Jones about the Queensland date. So I've made the task nice and clear, and I know exactly what I meant by that, even if I schedule it for a future day. The next thing you want to think about is the start date of the task, and what you want to do is schedule that for the day you want this task to appear on your daily plan. So it's when you want to start working on the task, not when the task is actually due. In this case, I'm going to schedule the task for Wednesday of this week. And notice that the due date fills itself in for the same date, which means that it will appear on Wednesday, so I don't need to worry about it between now and then, but on Wednesday I won't forget to do it. If you really need to schedule a due date, you can always set a separate due date, and that will not affect the start date. The third thing that you then need to think about is the priority of the task. Now, Microsoft give us 3 priorities to choose from: high, normal, low. We prefer not to use the low priority because, as far as we're concerned, if something is a low priority, it really shouldn't be in your list to begin with. So we use high priority to signify when something is a must-do priority for that day, and normal priority pretty much for everything else, things that you might want to schedule but they're not actually critical to that day. In this case, I'm going to put this down as a high priority, and pretty much that's it. You might have some additional notes that you want to make in the notes area, but once you're happy with that, all you need to do is press save and close, and the task will close down. It will save, and although it doesn't appear in my plan for today, if I go to this week's group, we should find that our task has now been scheduled for Wednesday of this week. Okay, so there's a basic task. That's probably the one that you will use more than anything else. There are a couple of variations on that. One of those would be scheduling a recurring task, which you would do in exactly the same way. You would open up your task, you would give it a subject. In this case, it might be a report that I need to do on a regular basis. You would choose the date that you actually want to remind yourself to first do the task. I'm going to schedule this for Friday. Give it a priority, high or normal. And then the final step is to click on the recurrence button in the toolbar and either make it a daily, weekly, monthly or yearly recurrence pattern. In this case, this might be a weekly task that I need to do. I'm going to set no end date because it's a piece of ongoing work, and once I'm happy with that, I press OK and then save and close. Now again, if we go to this week's group, we should find that down the bottom of my list I now have a recurring task schedule for this coming Friday, and that task will not actually appear in next week's group or this month's group until I actually mark that task complete. So once I mark this week's version of the task complete, it will then schedule the next version. So extremely useful for regular things that you need to do on a day-to-day basis or a week-to-week basis. The final thing I wanted to talk about was the idea of linking information into your tasks, and this is where Outlook really comes into its own. So one of the really important principles when it comes to getting your inbox down to zero is the idea of taking an email and converting it either into a calendar entry or a task and getting it into your schedule and out of your inbox. There's a couple of different ways that we looked at in the workshop to do this. One of them was using the quick steps option and setting up a quick step to both turn the email into a task and also to file the original email into your filing system, so I could use that. Or the second option was dragging the email onto your task folder in the navigation pane. And that's what I'm going to do with this particular email. And this is actually an email that I sent to myself with some electronic notes from my iPad about an idea that I want to scope out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to schedule that for next week, just to remind myself to do some further work on that. But I want to get rid of it from my inbox. So here I'm going to right click. I'm going to drag it onto my task folder. And from the menu, I'm going to choose copy here as a task with an attachment. I'm going to add an action word here, so I'm going to write create scope sheet for that. I'm then going to decide when I'm going to do it. I'll schedule it for next Monday. I'm going to leave it as a normal priority. And I'm actually going to go one step further here, and I'm going to categorize it. And I'm going to I'm going to use a category that I've already set up called create. So that's a way of labeling the task and helping me to group together different tasks that might fall under the one banner, in this case creation tasks. So I'm going to then go save and close, and I can then get rid of that email from my inbox knowing that the task has been safely scheduled for next week. So really powerful and useful tool. It's something that should become second nature to you. Every time you think of something you need to do, get it into your task list, or else do it straight away. When an email comes in that requires action, do it straight away, get it into your task list, or indeed get it into your calendar. These are all techniques designed to help you proactively work on the work at the right time. Great, go for it. Bye.